What if I don't want to close it? What the heck is your problem? Punch you in your face. It is warm in here. It's because we got old people. Hot mic. Her mic screen.
Yeah, she's already.
I thought that was Dave Chappelle over there.
Stop it.
Turn your mic off, yo.
I know you're not listening.
No, I heard
I
it.
know you took your thing, but that's
I
why.
moved it over so I can hear you better because I couldn't hear you really.
Is Danielle reading?
No, it's a lady with bracelet.
I think they're done.
That's what I was looking at. Daddy wasn't.
That's why I was like, I didn't see her.
Firefighter or EMS.
I am the wrong person.
I will tomorrow. I need to. I just didn't have a chance. I've been working.
Strong emergency.
I'm on the lift all day.
Good evening. Let's call the meeting of the Florence City Council to order. Please stand. Please rise during the deliberations, make decisions that are beneficial to the people represented here. Empower us to speak honestly, reflect wisely, and vote with integrity. We seek your guidance tonight. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call vote, please. I roll call. That's right.
Mr. Carroll.
Present.
Ms. Chambers.
Here.
Mr. Wynn.
Here.
Ms. Kemper.
Here.
Ms. Wingo.
Here.
Mr. Osborne.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Like to put forth the minutes of the special meeting for approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo, second Mr. Carroll, that's for November 7th. Any discussion, corrections, additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is our pleasure to have some representatives from St. Elizabeth Healthcare to recognize our fine department. Chief Brand, would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Mayor Abishon, members of council, we'd like to welcome Michelle Kruskamp from St. E tonight for another presentation of the stroke pen.
Come forward to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. On behalf of St. Elizabeth Healthcare and the American Heart Association, we would like to recognize the personnel for exceptional care and handoff of a patient that made the delivery of a Tenecteplase within 35 minutes of arrival to the Florence facility, winning the system-wide door-to-needle challenge for the month of May. Recognizing the impact that EMS has on the end goal of decreasing door-to-delivery time of IV thrombolytics for eligible stroke patients, Phase 3 of the American Heart Association National Quality Initiative, Target Stroke. This includes a focus on aligning the efforts across the entire continuum, including EMS. Timely response from initial dispatch, rapid identification and transportation, pre-hospital notification, and effective handoff communication from the field to the hospital are key. Links to the chain of survival and the optimizing outcomes for our stroke patients. Many factors play a decision-making process in administering a thrombolytic once the patient arrives to the hospital. Collaboration and partnerships between EMS and communities and healthcare system are recognized by the American Heart Association, and their initiative will allow best practices to be implemented through the system of care. EMS personnel that critically think together, standardize, and hand off key information will enhance the decision-making process once the patient arrives to the ED. This year, an additional incentive of a challenge coin and pins will be awarded for collaboration decision-making that leads to the difference in a patient's life, including delivery of Tenecteplase within 30 minutes. We look forward to everyone meeting this challenge. So tonight, we would like to recognize Nathan Dietz and Jimmy Rose. We have a certificate and a brain pin for you. Thank you for your collaboration, your acceptable service, and we appreciate all you do for our community. Thank you.
Congratulations. And as we would tell Betty when she would be here, we'd be happy to have you every month if we are the winners, so.
And we'll be happy to be here every month.
That's right, you have a great department. This just goes to show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a presentation from the Northern Kentucky Area Development District, Tara Johnson-Noem. If you would like to come to the podium, she's going to talk to us about the housing study. Good evening. I'm really short. I'm with you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to all the council members for having me this evening. My name is Tara Johnson-Noem, and I'm the Executive Director of the Northern Kentucky Area Development District. I've been in that role just over a year. And for a good portion of that year, we have been working with a consultant and with a number of our stakeholders on this study. So I'm pleased to share it with you this evening. I did want to start with just a couple of reminders about what the Area Development District is, because, you know, sometimes we're a little behind the scenes. So the AD is a collaboration of leaders. We were developed in the 1970s as a network of area development districts. Every county in the Commonwealth is a part of one of the 15 ADs, and we were written into state statute in order to provide technical assistance to our communities in an 8-county region. So that might be cities, fire districts, and the counties themselves. So that's our area there, and we serve in 3 main capacities: aging and disability services, workforce development and community development public administration. We also are the home, if you've heard of the Northern Kentucky Office of Drug Control Policy, we serve as their fiscal agent. So we have a budget of about $24 million. 70% of that is passed through straight back to the community. And we have about 75 employees at the moment and in those four program areas. We do have a number of board members, 38 to be exact, and I did just want to thank Mayor Abidjan for serving very actively on our board representing the city of Florence, so thank you for that. And we do have a number of board members from Boone County, Judge Moore, Mayor Brown, as I said, Mayor Abidjan, Kimberly Quinn, Pat Rafferty, Caroline Welzer, and Lisa Wilson, Plager, who I know is active in the Florence community as well. There's our org chart, so you can see our senior staff. If you ever need to reach out to any of us for any questions or concerns, any of us would be happy to chat with you. And we did, in January of this year, have like an NKEDD 101, and we plan on doing that on a fairly regular basis. So if you want to come and learn more about, we have 156 different funding sources. Primarily those are grants and contracts with the state, but we do have federal dollars as well as local and private foundation funds as well. Okay, so just like I said, just a very quick overview of what the ad is. Prior to becoming the executive director, I was our associate director for workforce development, and that's really where this work began, and I couldn't quite give it up, so here I still am, even though we have a new workforce lead, Corey Eimer, who is great as well. But we were talking, and we do serve in a number of ways on workforce development side, connecting employers with talent and connecting job seekers with employment. And that happens through our Career Center network and a number of partners. But we also were looking at what are the even bigger picture ways that we can serve our communities to get workforce development. And we started realizing that housing could be a barrier, but we didn't have any localized data. A lot of it's state level or even national. And so we wanted to better understand. Okay, so what do we know right now about workforce? In any given month in the last year, we've had about 12,000 open jobs in Northern Kentucky across the 8 counties. That is a lot. That is a lot. And so we want to make sure that we're trying to fill, especially those quality jobs, with people that are looking for opportunities. We also know that our unemployment rate remains low, and our labor force participation rate in this region remains a lot higher than that throughout the Commonwealth, and even higher than the national average. So as you can see, low unemployment, high the full population, and then we have it by race. This is information from the Atlas, which is created by BNKY, our economic development partners, but the full is on the far left. And so the gray is our 3-county area, and then the orange is Kentucky, so quite a bit higher than the Commonwealth. So with that in mind, we do work with all these partners on workforce development. Those are the 16 partners of the Career Center Network. But again, we wanted to know more about how housing could be playing a role. We did interview and survey local employers in partnership with BNKY, and about 50% said that they were concerned that housing could be playing a role in keeping them from attracting and retaining workers. So that was one of the things that we did prior to having the study done. So let's get started. First, let me say, there is a lot of data, so much. I could never possibly cover it all in the amount of time that I have been allocated. So I am gonna go kind of fast. If you would like me to stop, I would be happy to. Otherwise, if you would like to meet one-on-one, happy to do that. There are about 250 pages of this study, and I have like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go quick, but happy to dive in if you want. Okay, what do we have? Now with the study, obviously we had demographic information before, but we do have some interesting demographic information that the consultant pulled out. Household size trends, age trends, household income trends. We also have regional employment and commuting analysis and trends, which is very interesting. But then the part that we really didn't have before is the housing gap analysis by parcel. But we kind of need to understand what people are earning and where they are in order to really understand what's going on with the housing piece. And so that's why I'm going to fly through a couple of those higher level population pieces of data in order to get you to the housing data, because it kind of makes more sense that way. Okay, and then there are county profiles. All of the data is typically done at census tract level, so you're going to see a lot of cool maps. Okay, so we're going to start with the punchline at the beginning, and then I'm going to walk you through how they got to this. So the consultants that were hired, we did go through an RFP process, by the way, found that in the next 5 years, in order to support economic development, Northern Kentucky, and again, that would be the 8-county Northern Kentucky region in our case, because we serve 8, would need to create about 6,650 housing units. So that would be like one household, in the next 5 years. That's about 1,300 a year. And then inside of that number, 3,260 of those units should be for individuals earning around $15 to $25 an hour, which is what we're gonna call that workforce housing for a minute, okay? So these are not individuals that would qualify for any kind of subsidy. These are people that are working, but that the market, that's a missing component of the market. So also, they found that we probably need about 500 units for very low income individuals. That would be a housing cost below $320 a month. I should have said that the workforce housing would be somewhere between $500 and $1,500 a month for that would be either rent or mortgage. And then we're going to look at this when we look at the population trends. They say that we need more smaller units, so like 1 and 2 bedroom units, not exclusively, but more of those in proportion to what has been built over the last 10 years or so. Okay. So that's, like I said, that's the summary. You got that at the beginning. How did they get there? Okay, so there's also data in the study for the southern counties that we serve, but there are some differences. So this evening, we're just going to talk about the northern findings. So basically, job creation is outpacing housing creation for the same market, if that makes sense. So people that are getting jobs at a certain level, we're not creating housing at that same level. They also found, they call it a monoculture of single family homes. That's a terminology that I probably wouldn't have come up with on my own. But anyway, lots of 3 and 4 bedroom homes, not the diversity that we have in our housing stock overall. And again, you're going to see some graphs to show that in a minute. And then again, that missing middle, having more variety of choice, is going to be needed if we want to continue the pace of economic development that we've had in the region for quite some time. I actually just came from a BNKY event looking at, our growth and our GDP growth overall. And so according to our consultants, housing is a critical piece of that overall economic development. Okay. So our population may not be growing at the same level as some of our competitor regions, and this is just kind of a random sampling, but Columbus in the last 10, a little over 10 years is growing 16%. The Area Development District area, Northern Kentucky, and Cincinnati growing more like 8% in the last 10 years. There we go. Also, despite that our population is growing, household sizes have been on a decline for quite some time since the 70s. People just are not having as many children. They're also living longer as seniors. So then they have, smaller households because of that reason. They're waiting longer to have children. So then again, smaller households before they have kids, etc. So the population is relatively old compared to some of our peers, and we have been trending a little bit older. And so not only this slide, I think the map maybe does it a little bit better justice. So the U.S. median age is 38.9 years of age. Everything on that map that is the darkest blue or purple would be over that. So you can see, the kind of middle purple is 46 to 55 is the median age. So we do have some parts of our community that are trending on the older side. We certainly also have parts of our community that are trending younger. The white is the airport because they just don't have data because there's no one that can live there. So just in case that was confusing, that's what that is. Okay, so good news, our median income tends to be higher than some of our peer communities, but it hasn't been growing at the same rate as some of theirs, so like they're catching up to us, if that makes sense. So, but our median income in 2021 was $72,649. Now, we're gonna go back to this in just a little bit. Median household income, you can see for each county, is kind of steady, going down a bit overall in Boone, is expected to increase in Campbell, Carroll, Kenton, and Pendleton counties. But, all kind of similar. Boone was already higher though, keep that in mind. So it's not only about the increase, it's about where, so Boone is a little bit higher. Okay, and then again, the darker the purple, the higher the household income. So generally speaking, Boone is doing pretty well. Florence, you've got a diversity inside the city, as you can see. Okay, so we're producing jobs in Northern Kentucky, but not necessarily the appropriate housing stock. Let's go back to this for just a second. The far left-hand set of bars is a primary or secondary school teacher. So from that graph, you can see the blue is the percent of rental units affordable. The red is the percent of for purchase rental units affordable. Now keep in mind, this would be for a single salary. So when you start adding 2 salary households, you know, that increases the purchasing power. But this would be for somebody who was on their own for whatever reason. So a single salary teacher could only afford a rental units of about 26% of our overall housing stock, 16% for owner occupied. RNs fare much better. Oh, the diamonds, by the way, are the median annual salaries. So the right-hand side is showing the salaries. Distribution workers, similar to teachers, just a little bit higher. And then restaurant servers and elderly care, we can see, are having a hard time if they're on their own, affording a lot of the opportunities in terms of renter or purchase. Okay, so that was for the region. We have a lot of specific locality data as well. So each county has one of these charts. That thing in the middle that looks like a water bottle is supposed to be a population pyramid, okay? But it's not unusual that they look a little bit unlike a pyramid, but that's showing children at the bottom, youngest, oldest population at the top. So just keep in mind, ideally it would be a little bit more pyramidal in shape. But again, that's normal. We're gonna get into what these mean in just a second. Okay. Good news is, in Boone County, in the next, up to 2060, young and old populations are projected to grow at the same rate. That is a very good thing, because in other communities, the younger population is not projected to grow as rapidly, which is going to cause some dependency issues. So it's good that you have that. And you're projected to add a lot more jobs by 2060. Now, just so you know, the population is not predicted to increase by 64,000, but 64,000 jobs. So we got to figure that math out here in just a bit. But the mix stays similar, which is again good because you guys have a diversity of jobs. As we know, Boone County is a logistics hub, but you have quite a few higher paying jobs as well as we do have some lower paying jobs. The bottom left-hand side, that is the most common jobs are at the top, and then in the green, if everybody can see the colors, but on the right-hand side is the average wage that you earn in those. So the top one is administrative and support services, about 10,000 people in that role in the county, earning about $20,000 a year. Warehousing is next, followed by couriers and messengers, food service, and then when you start getting into durable goods, that's when the wages start really going up. So that would be some of your advanced manufacturing. So you can see on the upper chart, low wage jobs being a pretty predominant component, followed by blue collar, eds and meds, teeny sliver for government, and then high wage jobs at the top. Okay, Boone County is importing labor. So we've got a lot of folks commuting within Boone County. They live in Boone County and they're commuting to Boone County. And we also have people that, live elsewhere, but they work in Boone. So 71,000 people, working in Boone but living elsewhere. So that's a lot. The map at the top, and I'm sorry it does look kind of small, I mean, you guys can see the hub that Florence is there. All the dots are commuters into the county, so you can see Florence is a huge hub for that. Okay, we already did that one, hold on. And again, just showing proportionality of residents of the region that are working in Boone County, and it is a lot, and a lot of them are in Florence. Okay, so let's talk about housing. Now that we've gotten that kind of groundwork laid. This is housing demand. So what they did was they looked at all that demographic information I just showed you, and then they just estimated based on incomes, based on household sizes, what is it likely that people would need? Okay, so that's where they started. So this would be, so the darker the number, the higher the need. So we do have still quite a few in 3-bedroom, even in 4-bedroom. We've got some in rental in the 1 and 2 bedroom area, right? So now let's look at supply. Okay, so again, the darker the square or rectangle, I guess, the higher the supply. So, okay, wow, there's a lot in 3-bedroom and the 75 to 90 or $100,000 earnings. There's a lot in the 3-bedroom for over 100 to 150, and in the 4-bedroom, there's some in the 2-bedroom for rental. You kind of get the idea. Okay, the next slide, they're going to combine these. Who do we have? What's their demand? And then what's the supply that we have to meet that? Okay, so now if it's blue, there's hold on a second. The blue denotes a deficit at that size and price point. And the red, so there's negatives. The red is a surplus. So even though there was a large demand for 3 bedrooms in the owner-occupied category, we still have even more than what the demand was. And same for 4 bedrooms in the $100,000 to $150,000 category. Whereas if you look under rental, we still have a lot of it's light blue, and it's kind of right in the middle of that cross, unfortunately. But there's a lot of demand that's unmet in 1 and 2 bedroom rental, as well as owner in the a little bit less expensive category for 3 bedroom and 2 bedroom. So that's what we call the housing gap analysis. Now, new construction, this is in the last 20 years, so it just means built new, not necessarily like brand new. There's been a lot of single family build in that 3 and 4 bedroom category. Some condos in the 2 bedroom category there. And they also called out garden homes in rental, which we'll get to in just a sec. So here's some of the ownership development. The 2 on the left happen to be in Florence. This is just what they found in different categories to show different options. Now these are rentals. There's a lot of rentals in what they call the garden style, so see kind of in the middle, as well as some single family rentals and some condo rentals. So this is what's been built. Hold on. And then they're showing again, here's some of the options. Garden is kind of that, I think of that as like a condominium. Mid-rise, right down from my office on Turfway. And then the garden style on Hopeful Road too. So those would be all rental styles. Just kind of making sure we're on the same page of what do we mean by these different types. Okay, so according to this data, Boone County is projected to add 8,000 households in the next 10 years. That might be a little optimistic, just so you guys know. We've been having a lot of conversations with B and KY to try to figure out really it's hard to project, right? We're educated guessing a little bit, but based on the projections, we think this could be just a bit high, but still. And then you can see the different income brackets. So based upon that would need production needs of about 3,443 units for 2028, which is quite a few units. So there's also a replacement adjustment as well on there. Okay, So then what this does, we didn't talk about area median income. I must have taken that slide out, so I apologize. So area median income, if you think of the median, remember we said it's like per person, what was it, 72,000? Okay, so 80 to 120% of the median, that's a middle income. So if you're over 120%, you think like you're over the middle part, that would be high income. If you're under 80, if you're like 60 to 80%, you would be like moderate income is the term, and then under 60%, that would be considered lower income. I like to go over that because I find that whole area median income thing just a lot. So when you're looking at this, the other thing about area median income, it's based on household size too. So that it, you know, if I have 3 kids, 2 of them are eating a lot right now, you know, it takes more purchasing power for me to run my household, so that adjustment happens for household size. So 60, if you look on the right-hand side and it says less than 60% AMI, that would be considered like lower income, either because of what they earn or the number of household members that they have. 60 to 80, again, would be moderate income. 80 to 120 would be right at that median income, and then 120 over is high income. So the darker purple is showing proportionally higher production volumes that are needed. So what we're not saying is we don't need any 4 bedrooms, because as you can see, we do need some, but they're just saying in addition to that, we're also gonna need some rental 1 and 2 bedrooms, because right now we just don't have enough of a mix, is what the study came up with. And again, I'm not the researcher, I'm just the messenger, just in case we didn't get that. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. I did a little faster than I did last time, Mayor. So that was a lot. Do you have any questions? Or is there anything, Mayor, because I know the Mayor happened to see this before a board meeting, so anything that you'd like me to go over that I missed?
Just as, anybody have any questions?
It's rather difficult for us to, I'm over here.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, hi, I'm
Hi.
sorry.
Thanks, Darren. It's rather difficult for us to look at the screen and really take in what you're sharing with us. And if you could provide us maybe a written copy.
Absolutely.
In color, so that we can see what we're really talking about, that would be somewhat helpful.
Of course. I will, actually, Melissa has the slides, so if you don't mind to share them, that would be wonderful. And then I would like to say to all of you, and actually anybody in the audience, the entire report is on our website. So if you go to nkadd.org, under publications, it's there too. But I've pulled out things that I thought that you would want to know. So, but the whole thing is there. But you know, Melissa, if you don't care, that would be great. Thank you. Good point. Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
But you said stuff I don't want to hear.
Okay.
Be honest with you, but you know, you're doing good. The question is, you made a statement that there's going to be 3,000 or something of that nature, of all the new people coming in, the employees to work in these places.
Yes, sir.
My question is, on this question, where are the people coming from to do the work?
So just to be clear, that's an estimate. So that's a projection. So I don't know for sure, but based on just the current growth and looking forward, that's what they estimate. But I think that's one of the questions that we would ask. I'm originally from Ashland, Kentucky, and I know right now, you know, they've had a lot of challenges in that part of the Commonwealth in terms of, you know, downturn. I have a lot of family members that are looking this direction in terms of opportunity. We do have, I don't have it in this study, but we do have some projections and some studies about where has some of the immigration come from internally from the state. Also maybe, you know, from southeastern Ohio and places like that. And of course there's international immigration as well. But again, all of these are projections. So it's not any kind of plan or knowing, but just what they think might happen based on what's been happening.
The second question is, you made a statement that there was going to be 8,000 new homes built in a period of 5 years or 10 years. The question to that is, what portion of all this development is going to be occurring in Florence compared to the other part of Boone County?
Sure. So once again, I would say, I think that was new households that are estimated to be created, you know, maybe my son eventually moves out of my house. I actually hope not. I like him hanging out with us, but
8,000 needed.
8,000, yeah.
It's an estimate.
Yeah.
David. There's not a
That's how many are
plan
needed,
for
not
it.
how many are actually gonna be built. That's how many
Yeah.
we need in
Yeah.
order to fulfill the amount of people that are gonna be coming here to work.
It's an estimate as
Yeah.
to what could be built.
Yeah, so 6,650 units are estimated to be needed in the next 5 years across the whole 8-county region. But again, this is not a plan, so, you know, that would be, you know, we just want to make sure that all of our local governments, we are formed to provide assistance, and we want you all to know what might be coming from a population standpoint so that you guys can do the planning and so forth. And we have shared this, by the way, with the planning commissions of all 3 counties actually, and that's why we're here, is just to have that talk. But I don't have personally any sort of, you know, plan for that, but I think that's something to think about, is where would they go?
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Tara. I know it's a lot of information.
It is.
I do encourage people to take a look at your website.
Yeah.
And take a look at it, and if you have questions, I'm sure that
Okay.
you all are kind of the experts at this right now.
At the moment, I will just add, Mayor, that questions like what we've had tonight keep coming up. And so as we, you know, continue having these conversations, it has become clear to us that we do need a little bit more information about what could be next. And so we will continue to work with our planning organizations that are working right now on the comprehensive plans. And that's a really great, you know, venue for having these kind of conversations about, you know, what's next. So we'll be trying to understand, you know, what are they thinking? What are some of the best practices that are being seen and so forth. So I did just want to add that.
I do think you're not operating in a vacuum. There is a context here. You know, we have the state of our economy, interest rates,
Yes.
supply chain issues, labor issues. So I think those things all play into it, and I think you've reflected that as well.
Thank you. Have a really
Thank
nice
you.
night. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask Ms. Wingo to leave the room. I have for you an ordinance 030-2023, an ordinance adopting and approving a zoning map amendment for agricultural estate A2 to suburban residential 1 for the approximate 3.9 acre site located at 8269 Pleasant Valley Road, including the adjoining parcel having a parcel identification number of 062.00-00-008.25, Florence, Kentucky, to allow for the future subdivision of the property into smaller residential lots. The ordinance adopts and approves a zoning map amendment for agricultural estate A2 to suburban residential 1 SR1 for an approximate 3.9 acre site located at 8269 Pleasant Valley Road, including the adjoining parcel having a parcel identification number of 062.00-00-008.25, Florence, Kentucky, to allow for future subdivision of the property into smaller residential lots. The full text of ordinance 030-2023, including its exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the city clerk, City of Florence, Kentucky, 8100 Ewing Boulevard. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Nguyen, second by Ms. Kemper. And for discussion, I asked Ms. Wingo to leave the room because she does have a conflict with regard to this property. We did have the Planning and Zoning Committee meet with regard to this, and we have talked about this at a previous meeting. This is a second reading. Would there be any other discussion from the committee, Mr. Carroll and Mr. Nguyen?
No, we covered it quite well earlier, and I think everyone was satisfied with the first reading and how it turned out.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes?
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Nguyen,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0.
Chief, can you get Ms. Wiggett? Thank you. Next, we have municipal order MO 22-2023, a municipal order authorizing and directing the city attorney to file an eminent domain proceeding for the acquisition of real estate at 283 Main Street, Florence, Kentucky. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo, second by Mr. Nguyen. Any discussion? We did talk about this. Mr. Hunt, would you like to just briefly touch on it?
Sure. So five-year effort to secure this property. Council was well aware of it as we discussed last week. A lot of back and forth between the ownership group. At the end of the day, we just can't get where we need to get with it. And the purpose of this is to provide more public parking. And then there's some downstream stormwater issues that need to be mitigated. So there would be some sort of underground detention facility that's installed as a part of this. We discussed this same subject close to a year ago. Council passed a similar municipal order at that time, entered into some additional negotiations with the owner, and those just kind of went away. So here we are again, and we don't like to go this route. You know, I don't think anybody in council does, but that's where we're at with it.
Mr. Newcomer, do you have anything to add about the process?
Yeah, we've worked on this for months and months and with the Church of Scientology, and just unable to reach any type of reasonable agreement with them. So we have no choice but to initiate eminent domain proceeding.
As a result of this, we would be providing fair market value for any property that was obtained.
Correct. The process is, once the petition for eminent domain is filed, the court will appoint 3 commissioners who will assign a fair market value to the property. That money will then be paid into court, and the process begins. It's kind of a 2-step process. One, to determine whether or not there is a public purpose. The second part is to determine the fair market value. So the public purpose, it is obvious here. We need it for parking and for water mitigation. So that's not an issue. The church can, during the pendency of the fair market value aspect of the proceeding, go to the clerk and withdraw that money from the courthouse that is assigned to the property through the commissioners. And hopefully we'll get it resolved at that point.
And I do want to clarify, this is just a small section of parking lot. This isn't the building or anything like that. Council knows that, but for purpose of the audience.
The eminent domain proceeding will affect a 0.559 area. I believe the entire church sits on 2.8 acres, something like that. So it's just a small piece of the property.
All right, any other discussion?
Josh, can you just share what we spoke about today, about the intentions, for this property and the access to the property?
Sure. So the access,
Your
will
microphone,
sit,
please.
oh, is it, there it is. The access, well, there's 2 curb cuts off of Main Street now that serve this specific section of parking lot. Both of those remain intact. The intent is to provide additional public parking and detention facilities. So that's the ultimate intent of what we're going after. The city does own property that abuts this, where there will be additional parking lot. This is kind of hard to explain without maps, and I apologize for not having them, but that will abut this, that will allow for additional public parking through and through. I'm drawing a blank on the exact number of public parking spaces, but it's well over 100.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Wynn,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
Yes.
Ms. Wingo,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 6-0.
Next, we have the mayor's report. City of Florence leaf collection runs through December 21st. Contact the Public Services Department at 859-647-5416 for more information. The schedule is also on the website at florence-ky.gov. The City of Florence will continue to collect non-perishable food items to benefit Boone County Family Resource Centers for the elementary schools located in the City of Florence through this Friday, November 17th. You may drop off a non-perishable item in the Florence Government Center lobby. The Florence Police Department are participating in their 6th annual No Shave November benefit. She's looking a little scruffy down there. All right, all proceeds from the funds collected will benefit the Children's Hospital Cancer Unit. Each participating officer will donate at least $25 to this worthy cause. Anyone, though, can participate and donate. The link is on the Florence Police Department's Facebook page. The Florence Fire EMS Department and the Florence Police Department, in partnership with Meyer this year, are filling the truck with donations for Boone County Family Resource Centers on Saturday, December 2nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Stop by Meyer in Florence at 4990 Houston Road and consider donating toys or hygiene products including soap, shampoo, deodorant, and toothpaste. Have your photo taken with Santa on the fire truck while you help give back to the community. Be sure to stop by the administration department to pick up one of our coloring pages, or you can go to our website and print one out. To participate in our first ever City of Florence Children's Holiday Art Display. The contest is open to young artists, age 12 and under. All entries must be turned in by 5 p.m. on November 27th. The winners will be notified on Monday, December 4th, and announced at the holiday tree lighting on December 5th. The annual holiday tree lighting and Winter Wonderland Village event will be held on Tuesday, December 5th here at the Florence Government Center. The ornaments used to decorate the tree will be made by children of the community. Ornaments will also be available for decoration the night of the event, and you can pick up ornaments now at the administration department. In addition to the traditional tree lighting and musical presentation, there will be a Winter Wonderland Village with elf craft stations, a North Pole mailbox, hot chocolate bar, music provided by the Florence Community Band and Ackerman Middle School Chorus, visits and photo with Santa, story time with Mrs. Claus, a train display, and incredible light displays from our Public Services Department. I also want to take this time to thank all of our departments who participated in our Veterans Day program. I think it was a very good program, great crowd. Reverend Diamond's here in the audience. She spoke as well about our witness tree event that ran all of last week. That was our event for awareness about suicides in the military, and we did hang 22 dog tags on the tree every day. It was a short but powerful ceremony every morning to get us started, and I think it was a great way to kick off our Veterans Day program and our Veterans Day events.
Mayor, share with our audience, both locally and on TV, about the reason we have 22 dog tags up there every day.
So it commemorates the 22 servicemen and women that commit suicide every day in the country. And we start, November 1st through the 11th. And I think Reverend Diamond, what was that number?
242.
242 servicemen and women will have committed suicide in the time period that we ran our witness tree event from November 1st to the 11th. So we just need to call awareness to that, make sure that our veterans know that they're appreciated and that there are places where they can find help, and that we see them, we hear them, and we do appreciate them. So, anyone else on council have desire recognition?
Can I bring something up real quick?
Sure.
I just was wondering if we could have an update on where we are with live streaming the meetings.
Josh, Melissa?
Sure, so we're actually running some test stuff tonight, And we're gonna review that, hopefully that data tomorrow. I think they did it last week as well. There was a few bugs. And depending on how that goes, we're hoping to have it up and running here real soon. So it will be a YouTube channel. What was the official name? Do you remember what that was? It's nothing fancy. It's called like City Florence, Kentucky. So yeah, we'll have it up and running, and it should be high quality with all this new cameras that we have. Great audio you can actually hear, and it will be via YouTube. So we will update you via memo when we're ready to launch it, but it's very soon.
Any other discussion from council? Department heads? Anyone from the audience? Approach the podium, sir.
I don't like to keep people around long, do you? Yeah, it's hot in here.
It is hot.
Sounds like he lives
I
in
came
Tokyo
and
for a
spoke
while.
to the board at the beginning of the month. And anybody here, was anybody here from the board?
Which board are you referring to, sir?
I guess the city board?
Which board of the city?
I-
Code
I-
enforcement?
Yes, code
So,
enforcement, yes.
It would not be allowable for anyone on city council to be on the code enforcement board. That's an independent board.
Okay, well.
So if
I-
you do have, are your comments regarding a code issue?
It is.
So, Mr. Nienaber, can you advise?
I mean, it's my understanding you guys are the ones who set, like, what the rules are. So, after doing some research, that was my understanding, so I was under the impression that this is where I needed to come to see if I can get my issue, I guess, looked at.
Well, if you are considering filing an appeal from the code board, then I would recommend that you do that in writing. You follow the rules. I cannot advise you on how to do that or when to do that, but you should consult counsel if that is your desire to file an appeal. I don't think you should be talking here tonight until that time has expired and you've made your decision whether or not you are going to appeal.
So, Mr. Nienaber, just to be clear, so we have a code enforcement board. It is an independent board. They hear cases in front of them. They can assess fines. They can pass judgments.
That is correct.
There is a due process in that anyone that is levied a fine or citation, they have certain steps that they can follow in order to appeal those decisions of the code board. Once they appeal those decisions of the code board, they have to do that in writing.
Yes.
And you're recommending that you seek legal representation in order to do that. And then you can do yourself, but
I just don't know if it needs to go that far. I mean, it's a pretty simple issue, but I just was under the impression that you guys were the ones who actually set the rules in the first place.
once he appeals, then where is the appeal heard?
Here, when were you before code board?
This month.
Okay,
The first Wednesday, right? First Wednesday of the month, right now?
in November, so just a week ago.
Correct.
Okay.
In which I had to ask for a citation because I was given a warning, and I disputed the warning over the phone, which they both, first it started with Josh, and then it went to our Carpenter, whatever his first name is, and then I think, and then it went to Josh, and they both disputed it over the phone, and they said I could come to the board, which I did. They said, but you have to have a citation, and I was like, why? And they said, well, you just do, and I'm like, doesn't that kind of make you look bad? And yes, and it gives you a fine. I'm like, well, that's kind of unfair to put somebody in that situation. I was willing to come just off of a warning to discuss what I felt like needed to be done, and I was told, no, that had to be done, and then he came out and looked, and I had already taken the stuff down, and part of it down, and there was one little part left up, but he told me I could leave all of that up. He said, I would just wait until the whole thing's done, and then they're still holding me over and not releasing that fine. I mean, it's just kind of, this is political stuff that people get frustrated with, and, you know, that's one of the issues. There's more to it. But.
If it's a code issue, we want to follow all the process, and that's in your benefit
Sure.
if we do that. So if we have a hearing now, it would kind of be out of school because it's not a case that's been appealed to us.
Okay.
So if it would be okay, can we just have you speak with our attorney after the meeting here and
Sure.
and Josh, and then they can kind of tell you what the process is. I don't want to put your case in jeopardy by doing something
Yeah,
else.
no, I 100%
If that makes
agree with that,
sense.
no problem, and yeah, I know I gotta start somewhere, and this is, where I thought I kinda needed to go get started, so.
Sorry for that misinformation, and
No.
I'm glad that you came and,
Yeah, no, thank you, and
Yes.
it's no big deal, and I'm glad.
Mayor, if I may, since we vote on ordinances, is perhaps what he's looking to do is bring an ordinance to our attention that he thinks we should change.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
so, but if it's regarding a code citation and fines, then that has to play out through its due process.
Right, if this gentleman wants to present something to council to change an ordinance or regulation, he has every right to do that, but there is technically a case pending at this point. So I would recommend, and I can't tell this gentleman what to do, I can't advise him, but I would suggest that he contact an attorney, and if he wants to file an appeal, he can do it himself if he's so inclined. But I would suggest that after that case is concluded, then you can go ahead and come back next month and do whatever, make your presentation on changing an ordinance or a particular regulation, however you want to do that, that's fine. But as long as the case is pending, I don't want to jeopardize your potential right to take it to the next level.
No,
So-
Due process, yeah.
So I'm gonna speak to you after to find out the actual process, and so I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
Well, let's just speak with Josh
Okay.
and Eric.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? Entertain a motion to adjourn? Mr. Carroll? Mr. Osborne, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.